Really does say something when you're still flawless in Search and Destroy and you have a positive 4.6 round differential.
Correct.
And you still lose to X-Rock, who have +6.
From being able to watch each other compete in the quarterfinal stage of the competition, will that impact what we see when it comes to those picks and bans coming through towards that stage when we're talking about looking at those maps? So overall, this is going to be a very, very, like you said, a banger of a match to start off the day. Right? We've got some stat lines down there on the bottom of your screen for you as well. Little bit of an edge there in the head-to-head.
Yeah, and I think the thing about it is at one moment in time, as much as there was kind of this rivalry building at the beginning of the Chinese Masters scene between these two squads, X-Rock had won 3 matches in a row pretty emphatically. That changed at CDSI. Q9 was able to find a little bit of revenge in a banger map number 7, but still, I think the series edge does say something about how X-Rock have owned this head-to-head matchup largely throughout this year.
It's been close every single time. I mean, when they did meet up against each other at CDSI, it did go the entire 7 maps, and all the way down to that final map, it was banger after banger. You could just clearly see how much these teams do know each other, and that's what's going to set ourselves up in a very good best of 5 as well. Whatever maps we end up getting, you know that these two teams have faced each other at least on a handful of these, a multitude of times of the year.
I'm excited to see what you guys said with your predictions. We're not there yet, but I want to see how cohesive everybody is on the casting side of things. We're going to take some look at some more stats, though, before we kind of start talking about those map choices, because we have a head-to-head here with their map comparisons across the board for these two team shift.
Yeah, I think the biggest standout is, well, all the arrows are leaning over towards X-Rock's direction, but 6-point differential win average on Search and Destroy. They've played 4 searches. Every single one of them was a 7-1 tally. And in this particular head-to-head matchup, that's where I really put a lot of focus on the individual map selections, because in the head-to-head, they are actually 13-5 in Search and Destroy, are X-Rock over Q9. They have routinely dominated the map 2 and the map 5. The only time that went awry was map 7 of CDSI. So that's where I'm really kind of putting a lot of focus on this, is the Search and Destroy, the map 2, the map 5. Both of these two squads are pretty darn even in terms of their head-to-head on hardpoint as well as on control. So it does feel like the map 2, map 5 may determine the series.
Really does say something when you're still flawless in Search and Destroy and you have a positive 4.6 round differential.
Correct.
And you still lose to X-Rock, who have +6.
Well, now we get to take a look at the maps, okay? And I want to get your thoughts on these, because we'll see what they chose, what they're going to be facing off against each other on here. And this could determine a lot for these teams. Were they able to find any weaknesses? Did they go with their comfort picks? We'll be starting off with the Hacienda hardpoint. So tell me how you feel about the shift.
We haven't seen Q9 play Hacienda yet, which is, I think, a bit surprising considering that their playstyle seems to lean towards it. But they've been really baking their bread and buttering it on Summit and Apocalypse so far this weekend. So that's going to be an interesting opening test. It definitely feels like a map that should go towards X-Rock. You do see the Apocalypse show up map number 4, so Q9 will have that. And then the interesting thing, but considering the Chinese region loves firing range and they love Tunisia, neither get through here. So this is going to be to see who has done the best prep on takeoff in Kurahana.
Yeah, and that Kurahana Search and Destroy, I really do hope that we do get to that map number 5, just to be able to see what these two teams do look like on that map mode combination in particular. But the respawns is where a lot of the focus will end up being, especially for me. Last time these two teams did face, Q9 did take the hard points.
All right, well, now I finally get to ask you, what did you guys say for your predictions? First semifinals match of the day. What are your thoughts?
I'm leaning towards X-Rock. I'm going with how the history has played. I've got to go in the full distance, though. It does feel like, now seeing the maps as well, I've got the hard points going to each team as they've picked them. I do have the control, though, favoring over towards X-Rock and then them winning in map number 5.
I'm the same way, but I think that the only map that we'll probably see X-Rock lose, very much so, might be the map 1, but the bounce back might be there. I'm a stats guy. The numbers always lean towards X-Rock. History is doomed to repeat itself, you would fear, but if Q9's best chance to make it to that grand finals, they got to take at least one of these hard points and both the searches.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to talk to the boys in the green room and see if they agree with these predictions as well. And of course, everybody at home, you know the drill by now. If you're hanging out with us in chat, let us know your thoughts. first semifinals matchup of the day. There's only 2 of them, so you don't get a lot of opportunity to do this. But who do you think is going to be the first team in our grand finals? Will it be X-Rock or will it be Q9? Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to kick off our semifinals matchup. First team determined into grand finals. Let's do it.
Oh, and it's a grudge match. This is the one that I think everyone has been waiting to see. We only got small teases of it when we were at CDSI. Now, granted, of course, it did go the full distance, and the maps were very back and forth between the two. But now that there's no safety net of a double elimination bracket, it is a one and done $90,000 match between the top 2 teams from China. It's X-Rock, it's Q9, our opening semifinal. Let's get it on.
Woke up this morning thinking that you can make it to the grand finals, but there is only one route, and it is right in front of you on the opposite side of the stage. Starting off on the favorite side of the map will be X-Rock. They will at least be in favor for that P2 rotation, but spawns do flip routinely, especially when it comes down to Hacienda. But the opening gunfights are great for X-Rock, and they completely clean house, maintain the high ground, and they're getting some time.
Large focus off the long-range battles. You even saw Ma starting off with a scope. He's actually still got it in hand with the mix of 2 Odins in play. So X-Rock really trying to take the fight at range, and so far it has worked out as they jump back into the hard point, reclaim their lead for now, and Ma is dominating. Already got the hot hand with the Tundra out and early.
Gonna have to meet this somehow if you are Q9. Calling it a Predator missile before P2 rotation is even called for is a scary one, to say the least. But Q9 have been able to work their way not only into the hard point, but also on the mansion side, threatening the rotation early.
Yeah, looking good. The Pred missile largely negated just as Q9 survived through it. Hit coming through the water side of the map, though, over towards P2. Early rotation here for X-Rock. Dead tie game, essentially, after the first hill has expired. Q9 trying to get top control over at Lambo. Fight back from Chuan. Almost able to find a double, but does get taken out. X-Rock finding wins from the front, but the spawns are still good for Q9 in the back as they look to try to re-break the hill.
It's going to be marching up this driveway. Someone's going to have to try to take a route, but by that time, 30 seconds will still remain. Good presence being held here for X-Rock, trying to keep everybody at bay.
Good contest to this point, but now Q9's reinforcements start to come through. Pinch on the way, though. A couple of split spawns for X-Rock. Have them now all of a sudden hitting both sides at once, and Ma lighting things up. Doesn't matter if he's got a scope. Doesn't matter if he's got an Odin. Give this guy whatever weapon you want. He's going to find a way to tally up kills, and that's so far what's come through. Q9, though, still spawning close, able to reinforce. Still 22 seconds to fight for, and a really great read on X-Rock's off spawns towards well.
I mean, between Chuan and Ma, you're just being ripped to smithereens, and to be quite frank, the slaying isn't too far gone, but Q9 are just really good at being aggressive towards the back 20 seconds of every single hard point. Forces X-Rock's hand just to utilize these close spawns and try to soak up the back 10 seconds. It's just about a dead even game, rotating over towards P3. Operators online. Yeah,
3 in particular in favor of X-Rock, but Uling does have the War Machine, and he is good with it. Opening first blood, good for Uling over towards P3. The hard point unlocks, and X-Rock are still battling for top patio. Rushi able to find the high ground position for now, but needs to wait for help. War Machine gonna get popped. It's actually gonna be immediately countered as Uling is trying to get some damage done with his own, but X-Rock kind of pinching on both sides at once are working out beautifully, leaving Uling by himself. And you can only do so much in this position. Has to wait for help as he does find a couple of kills, allowing a re-entry to come through.
I mean, the immediate response, Uling pulls out the War Machine. You get a War Machine out of Rushi, and then a follow-up claw as well. And it's just overwhelming pressure coming through from X-Rock again. They have the numbers, the ordinances are perfect from Sunyo, being able to find at least 2. So it's scrap time to fight over here, and look where Q9 are spawning all the way to the backside of the office. This is very alarming, but at least they're making the heads-up play, trying to send a couple players on different routes so that they can threaten the rotation.
They're going to need to. The Purifier's locking things down over towards Tin as X-Rock are soaking up the scrap time and out, putting their focus on rotation. Prime time to get an early listen in with X-Rock.
他们下点到了啊！2楼一个，2楼一滴，2楼一滴，牛逼！下点到了应该，别急，像我们昨天说的一样。他们下点有人，我确定。抽过水下有人，抽过水下有人。我来帮，我来帮，我来帮。
假沙楼一个，假沙楼一个。假沙楼火，假沙楼火，点点开火了。
把我掉了，我丢闪了。
Smoke out。
打！别急，回血。
点死了。我抽不了，
这头这边死
那个，点那个。
重复了，重复了。
敌你两个，敌这个懂，没事的，没事的。我们打地面，我们打地面。OK， 我们打地面没事的，兄弟们。
点等花掉了，点等花没有，等花没掉。
可以来加点。
等花一丝。
车库看车库。
等花在点内呢。
闪到点内。
没事，漂亮。
A little bit of a double listen in there as we swapped over to Q9's comms as they try to find a way back in towards this final hard point of our first rotation. 20 seconds to fight for. Operators have all been expended here proper, and for the most part, it has been a pretty even exchange. Last scrap time going to tilt over towards Q9 as they've got full numbers ready to go.
And so far, when the first set of hard points, when resources are invested and returned back, X-Rock have come out on top of when it comes down to Gunny and then fighting for the back scrap time. Q9 have had a little bit of an edge. This back 5 seconds should be soaked up by them. Last little contest coming through from Moss, so it'll go and be neutral. 98-75 going back towards the center of the map. Some very key resources being invested. Uling's going to open it up with a Pred.
Yeah, just need to get a feel of what X-Rock is doing on this rotation. So Pred Missile will be called in just to get the information out. Now an opportunity to fight back from the high ground. Rushi inside, finding some early time. Chuan with them, trying to move over towards the secret hallway here. But Q9, good window presence. They've really slocked things down and at least made life difficult for X-Rock. And with the kills starting to tilt their way, now an opportunity for them to fight for the hill itself. A little bit of extra time being tallied, but Rushi actually going to pull out a War Machine here. Bold call to say the least. Not often you see it pulled in this position, but he does find one connection, and with that extra can get back on the hill.
Split spawns might escape. Scared him. Did have at least one player for Q9 that was starting to threaten through open staircases, but now the spawns have more or less subsided themselves. One rogue spawn's going to come over towards well, and tough gunfight to have for yourself right off the spawn, but you want just get smoked. And now you got to be worried about that entire position if you are X-Rock, who took an immediate focus to soak up more time on P1, which to be fair, they did get 40 plus. War Machine wasn't a terrible investment here, but now you've lost the rotation to Nip.
Yeah, and you've got a really good spread of the map right now for Q9. They're going to get a read that the well spawns are still open. In fact, actually, they have 2 players spawn right there themselves. I'm sure that was a pleasant surprise. They clean up the driveway. Now all the focus can happen over towards the front. Uling has the War Machine at the ready. Wouldn't be a good time to use it considering that all of X-Rock are hitting from the front. Hasn't popped it yet, and apparently he doesn't need to. Finding the kills from topside. Lambo has looked good. Curly's also on the pinch as X-Rock fought a chance to contest, but the spawns are still in, and Q9 are quick to get back on the hard point.
So he's going to rip the claw. It's going to start asking between him and Mom when they were going to start diving into these resources just for the break. It finds 3 more bullets on the head glitch, loses his life. It's the response from Uling. Pulls out the War Machine just to try to belittle these individuals with ordinances around the water, inside of the garage. It works out perfectly.
Nice little heroic moment for Sunyo. Looked like Q9 was just going to jump right back into the hill immediately, but he gets a little bit of extra time tallied for X-Rock. Now the spawns a little bit more chaotic as it's split between both 2 teams in the back. Trying to win out onto the hard point itself is Rushi, but he is by himself and he will be overwhelmed. So the scrap time's going to go to Q9. X-Rock at a bit of a tricky spot here. They're in lobby. They could stall the rotation for Q9, but with these secondary spawns happening towards Rock, they're going to take the long route around the back.
One player slipped the net, but Mauchi just gonna sock one right into Sunyo's jaw. And that could open up things to maybe move a little bit further forward over by the gardens. You did have one player that did get gunned by Q9, so now you know the flank is secure. So it's a square up, operator still online.
Curly is the one to keep an eye on. Can he hit a route with these equalizers? He has been one of the best players with that operator all weekend long, and they may need it. Here's X-Rock looking solid from the front. Purifier, War Machine all being spent. Curly trying to find an angle to get in, but not going to be allowed a chance for it. Spawns will move, but X-Rock looking solid inside the hill.
Yeah, they sure are. War Machine invested will now dissipate. So it's just about holding these angles, make sure nobody's flanking all the way through. That was going to be picked up by Sunyo, loses that gunfight, and now the hit from the back will find success. 20 seconds to let the fight over here, and if you're X-Rock, you're feeling quite okay with the spawn flip that came through. You should have a free rotation. You should not care about this time.
Problem is, Mauchi's cleaning everything up very quickly with this claw out. It has been a great operator for him, and now he's working on the long rotation back towards bottom bar, up to office. On the same front, Chen over the middle, big 1v1 win. That allows an opportunity for Q9 to string scrap to initial. Just comes down to, can they read the spawns, which are a bit split right now for X-Rock.
Got one player lurking for Uling around the office building. Doesn't really have an angle to watch these players flanking all the way through. Might just catch everybody from Q9 by surprise, and now Curly with the equalizer, to your point, has been so electric with them all weekend. Lost, loses their life. Not the investment that you were looking for, as there's still ample time to fight for here at 4.
A little crossed up right there, as there was a hit coming from the open stairs as well as from backside Boathouse. Exchange looking decent though, as Q9 just take the fight right back onto the hard point. Predator missile also putting him into a little bit of effect. Uling thinking about maybe pulling the War Machine here. Thought for a second he had dropped it out, but may have put it right back into the back pocket, as X-Rock are having a tough time breaking until Chuan finds himself a double from the front. Now an opportunity to reinforce this from water side. Looking decent, especially with Ma, has the Annihilator out, but he's kind of in the same position Curly was. They need to get a little bit more help, and No-No's going to provide it with the equalizers. Get out of his way! He's shredding everything! It's a full team wipe for No-No!
Just at 5 feet for No-No, 1 name, 5 kills. Talk about investment coming through with the equalizer. Stark differences, but there's still an opportunity for Q9. If fully bring themselves back into this game, they only trail by just 40. So it's not out of the woods that they can make this happen on a map pick of Hacienda, a map pick that they've beaten X-Rock on before.
It's just one of those things where Q9 just do not have the edge in some of these really key fights. I think especially as they put together their setups around these hard points. This is already, though, much better over the top of P1. Rushi working on it, trying to get some action over towards the open stairs. Not going to fully work out as X-Rock have to hit through the U-Haul, and the kills are good. Q9 lose their high ground control. Bob just jumps in from the high ground, but Uling, he pulls out the War Machine. That'll be good for an opening 2, and then finds the 3rd one down low, plus a 4th. Uling again lighting things up as Q9 get back into the hill.
He's leading the entire lobby as far as kills are concerned, and a lot of those kills are coming through the War Machine. 47 kills now for Uling. 174 to 204. Still have scrap time to fight over here, but look at the positional advantage that Q9 do have on the map so far. They do have the water side of the map. That's forcing X-Rock's hand. Try to hit through the open archway. If you can contest the time, that's great, but you have to get these numbers to Lambo.
This hard point still open though at P1. X-Rock will have 2 members spawn deep away from the second hard point. So what can Rushi find? He feels the pressure. He's popped the War Machine, but he gets immediately shut down. Trophy system in place. Uling locking down the front. And now you've got full status control for Q9 with the Sparrow to boot. A massive moment in the hard point.
Yeah, the Sparrow will just keep all of these players at bay through these choke points. You're going to have to try to contest eventually. And, well, you're just going to get immediately bolted to the dome. 2-piece coming through for Sun. And now it's all eyes forward. Another 1v1 actually happening over by the rocks. Predator missile called in, confirms the information. Q9 about to take the lead.
Sun thought he had a good angle for that Pred missile, just rushed it forward. It doesn't land under the player's back driveway, but it doesn't make a difference because Q9 are able to pick up on the flip of the spawns. Now it's back to X-Rock. Most of this hit coming from the front. Sun, the one just hoping he can find good timing, but it's actually going to be just a full pinch from the side door that takes him out of commission. X-Rock back into the hard point. 15 seconds to fight for. Chuan trying to get the purifier, and that's immediately shut down. Q9 with a little bit of life, but they are still stuck spawning on the left side of the map as you rotate to new.
Scary. Someone did slip to the net, though. It's Sun. He's already past the garden side. He's going to have an isolated 1v1 as the rest of X-Rock are just lighting things up over by Lambo. Will finally subside, but there's no more time to grab here over by the Lambo. Still straight gunfights happening, but now numbers on the other side of the map for the rotation favoring that of X-Rock, but Q9 have the closer spawns.
Chen over the backside. Q9 spawning close. X-Rock feeling the pressure. Pop the claw immediately, just trying to spam down and slow this Q9 approach. No from the front is good, but Curly with the equalizers. Only able to find the first. Sunyo with the claw dissipating, still hanging on. No trying to get the information. Rushes forward as he understands that Q9's coming through tin side. Can he put together the same kind of presence that we saw from Curly earlier? Now it's just down to it. Uling, he's able to collect with the War Machine and the break is in.
And then Chen also pulls out the operator for a purifier. That's a lot more space that you can take away, suppressed by all of these grenades. 235 to 227. Can still win it here if you are Q9, if you hold on to all the time.
Operator out for Rushi. He's able to find a double with a nade. Now it's just the War Machine getting to work, trying to spam things down. He's able to connect to the players inside the hard point. No one can win here. We're going to a new hard point. No more operators available. Q9 will be there first, but X-Rock with these clean kills can rotate quickly.
Gonna have to try to bunker up. You do have those close office spawns as well. I love what I'm seeing out of X-Rock, just trying to cut through where you think the spawns are happening, and they also get assistance from the boathouse.
They're finding the kills around the back. The Hunter Killer Drone's gonna hit onto Uling. Chen's the last one left. He gets taken out by a Pred missile. 242 is where it stops for Q9. Need to find a way to break. They've got split spawns. Can they pitch this up? No, they can't because Tron gets the double. One more player to find. They're looking the wrong direction though. Chen's able to get in for some contest. The help is here. Q9, can you find the kills? Rucci not able to find anything. All of a sudden, Q9 find themselves favorable in the kill feed. Back and forth we go. 242, 246. Still the contested play. Toronto on the back gets shut down. Q9 just need to find one more wave of kills. 3 more seconds needed. No one's able to contest. Q9 rip away the hard point from X-Rock and strike first.
A lot closer than I'm sure Q9 wanted coming into their own map pick here on map number 1, but they are going to feel great with the conclusion. A dub is a dub at the end of the day, and a crucial mistake coming through there at the end for one of the players out of X-Rock who was really worried about the flank. It kind of forced a 3v4 once all of those boathouse spawns came through for Q9, and then they were completely able to overwhelm everybody from X-Rock that was either lingering from the Lambo spawns or just not really ready for the gunfight as well. Great isolation there at the end for Q9 across a multitude of different hills. They were down, but truly never out of this entire situation, and Uling was trying his damnedest the entire game. A Herculean performance out of Uling in particular. The War Machine was emphatic, and every single bit of pressure that we saw all the way to the game's end was true.
What a wake-up call here in Atlanta. Woo-hoo-hoo! Give me more of that. Insert it right into my veins. Unbelievable start. And just the adversity that X-Rock were able to throw together. This moment in particular, you thought the momentum was just gonna go all to the Chinese #1 team, but not to be. The scrap battle through P3, the rotation to 4, and then all of a sudden, the SMGs lighten things up, finding ways for Q9 just to hold a narrow edge. Uling in particular, locking down the long-range headies, setting up the final moments. Unreal start and a massive win for Q9 to kick off this series on the right foot.
I mean, should we get an opportunity to look at these stats? Yeah, thank you so much. This is insanity. From one in particular, obviously the MVP on the side of Q9. That's a lot of engagements. Lots of big numbers as well, with everybody getting about a minute plus of OBJ time for Q9. The assist column is also very nice to look at as well. Q9 are a very good team, and clearly being able to show how they can bounce back from being detrimented in the first set of hard points by X-Rock, who are having themselves a whale of a game collectively.
Nearly a 60 bomb for Uling with a minute 30 in the hill. We call that the Call of Duty hat trick, especially when you get double-digit assists the way that he did. Whoa, okay, that's what we got? All right. Let's just get it all wrestled up now.
Who needs coffee when you got Q9 versus X-Rock on the main stage to start off this championship Sunday?
Well, not me, but the beast has been unleashed, and you can do the same by going to monsterenergy.com/gaming. Easy segues. Shout out to our sponsors. Let's get into the search and destroy, friends. We're gonna have to cool our jets a little bit, and I'm gonna need you all at home and here in Atlanta to just open up the synapses between your brainwaves. Get a couple of extra crevasses and wrinkles in the brain, because we're going to see some 5D chess between these two juggernauts.
Yes, the crevasses of your brain. All of the wrinkles will be smoothed out by the end of us just nerding out about how good this upcoming Search and Destroy is about to be. On Takeoff, no less. Again, a map mode combination that Q9 hasn't exactly found a lot of fortune in historically, have not played it this weekend, but 1 in 3 throughout their entire tournament year to this point in time. Comparatively on the opposite side for X-Rock, I mean, you feel like that there's hardly any weaknesses coming away from being the #1 team out of their region, but for Takeoff in particular, played it 6 times, 4 and 2 walking into this tournament. I think that they, very obvious for being their map pick, they are the favorites for this map, but